Imagine a love story written in the stars, then rewritten in the dust of betrayal. Anya 7 months pregnant, her heart full of dreams, her finger adorned with a diamond worth more than a lifetime's wages. Her husband, Damien Gold, a name synonymous with power, with luxury, with the Midas touch. But what happens when that touch turns to ice? When the vows spoken in a sun-drenched cathedral are shattered in the chilling silence of a servant's quarters. This is the story of a wife, a mother-to-be, cast aside for a newer, shinier prize. This is the story of how a mansion became a prison, and the master bedroom a forbidden territory. Prepare yourselves, for the descent begins now. Anya traced the curve of her swollen belly, a tender smile playing on her lips. The late afternoon sun filtered through the vast panoramic windows of their penthouse apartment overlooking Central Park, cast a golden glow on everything it touched. It had been like this, golden and perfect, for the 3 years she'd been married to Damien Gold, founder and CEO of Ethelred Holdings, a global private equity firm whose name was whispered with reverence in financial circles. Their life was a whirlwind of charity galas where Anya wore bespoke gowns that cost more than her childhood home, of spontaneous trips to their villa in Lake Como of Damien, showering her with affection and gifts that made her friends sigh with envy. The latest, a delicate diamond necklace from Tiffany & Co. for their anniversary, still lay nestled in its blue box, a testament to his supposed adoration. The pregnancy had been the presumed cherry on top of their perfect life. Damien had seemed ecstatic, his booming laughter echoing through their opulent home as he'd lifted her, spinning her around when she'd shared the news. He'd talked animatedly about Nursery's legacy, a dynasty. The shift was subtle at first, almost imperceptible. A business trip extended by a day, then 2. Phone calls that became slightly shorter, his attention seemingly elsewhere. Anya, hormonal and sensitive, had initially brushed it off as the pressures of his empire. He was Damien Gold, after all. The world didn't stop for impending fatherhood. But then came the missed obstetrician appointments. The first time, a boardroom crisis. The second, an unavoidable international call. The third, a terse text message. Something came up. Reschedule. He hadn't even bothered with an excuse that time. A chill had begun to seep into the golden glow, a tiny crack appearing in the flawless facade of their marriage. Anya had tried to talk to him, her voice gentle questioning. "Damien, is everything all right? You seem distant." He'd waved a dismissive hand, not even looking up from his constantly buzzing phone. "Just busy, Anya. You know how it is. This Ethelred expansion into Asia is taking a lot out of me." The real blow came a week later. Damien had been out late again. Anya had waited up a plate of his favorite pasta kept warm, her heart a knot of anxiety. He'd breezed in just before 2 a.m., smelling faintly of a perfume she didn't recognize, something musky and expensive, completely unlike her light floral scents. "Damien, we need to talk," she'd said, her voice trembling slightly. He'd sighed, running a hand through his perfectly styled dark hair. "Anya, I'm exhausted." "Can this wait?" "No, it can't," she insisted, standing her ground, her hand instinctively going to her belly. "You've been different, and this scent." He finally looked at her, then his eyes, usually warm and crinkling at the corners, when he smiled, were now cold, almost appraising. "What scent?" "The perfume, Damien. It's not mine." A beat of silence, then, "I was at a networking event." full of people. Don't be ridiculous. The next evening, he dropped the bombshell. He found her in the master suite, packing a small weekend bag for a planned baby moon to the Hamptons, a trip he was now clearly not intending to take. "Anya," he began, his voice devoid of its usual warmth, replaced by a chillingly calm authority. "We need to make some changes around here." She looked up, confused. "Changes? What sort of changes?" "Living arrangements, primarily." He gestured vaguely around the palatial master bedroom, with its king-sized bed walk-in closets larger than most New York apartments, and ensuite bathroom clad in Italian marble. "I need this space." "You need this space?" She echoed, a laugh of disbelief escaping her. "Darling, we share this space. What are you talking about?" "No, Anya," he said, his gaze unwavering and hard. "I need this space for myself and for a guest who will be staying." Her blood ran cold. "A guest? What guest, Damien? I'm 7 months pregnant. We were supposed to go to the Hamptons." "Plans change," he stated flatly. "The Hamptons are off, and you'll be more comfortable elsewhere in the apartment." "Elsewhere, Damien. This is our bedroom." Panic was starting to claw at her throat. He walked over to the window, staring out at the glittering cityscape. "I've had Mrs. Petroff prepare the room at the end of the staff corridor, the old maid's room. It's perfectly adequate." Anya felt the world tilt. The maid's room. The small, stuffy room near the service entrance, barely large enough for a single bed and a tiny dresser. The room that hadn't been used in years, except for storage. "The maid's room," she whispered, her voice cracking. "You want me, your pregnant wife, to sleep in the maid's room?" "It's quiet there. You'll get plenty of rest," he said, still not looking at her. "And it will be better for everyone this way." "Better for whom, Damien?" Tears welled in her eyes, blurring the sight of his imposing silhouette. "Who is this guest that warrants me being thrown out of my own bed? My own room?" He finally turned, his expression unreadable, but his eyes held a glint of something cruel. "Her name is Isabel, and she prefers the master suite." The name hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. Isabel, the owner of the musky perfume. The reason for the late nights, the missed appointments, the chilling distance. Anya stumbled back, her hand flying to her mouth, a sob escaping. "You're having an affair." It wasn't a question. Damien didn't deny it. He merely shrugged, a gesture of such profound indifference that it cut Anya deeper than any angry denial could have. "Things have been difficult between us, Anya. You've been so focused on the baby. We've drifted apart." "Drifted apart?" she cried, the tears now flowing freely. "I'm carrying your child, Damien. Our child. How could you do this? And with whom?" "Isabel Moreau." He said the name, rolling off his tongue with an infuriating ease. "She's a designer, very talented. You'll meet her soon enough." "Meet her?" Anya felt a hysterical laugh bubble up. "You expect me to meet the woman you're throwing me out for, while I sleep in a servant's room?" "It's for the best, Anya," he repeated, his voice firm. "Consider it a temporary arrangement, until you get settled elsewhere." Settled elsewhere. The implication hit her like a physical blow. He wasn't just moving her to another room. He was moving her out of his life. Before she could say another word, before she could scream or break down completely, he turned and walked out, leaving her standing alone in the opulent prison their bedroom had suddenly become. The Tiffany box on her dresser seemed to mock her, its brilliant contents now feeling like fool's gold. The golden glow was gone, replaced by a suffocating darkness. Her perfect life hadn't just cracked, it had shattered into a million irreparable pieces. And as the door clicked shut behind Damien, Anya knew she wasn't just being moved to the maid's room. She was being relegated to the forgotten corners of his world, while another woman prepared to take her place in the spotlight of his affection. The reign of the Mistress was about to begin. The next 24 hours passed in a blur of numb disbelief and heart-wrenching sorrow for Anya. Mrs. Petrov, their housekeeper of 10 years, a woman with kind eyes and a usually stoic demeanor, had tears welling as she silently helped Anya move a few essential belongings into the cramped maid's room. It was a stark, cheerless space, painted a drab beige with a single narrow window overlooking a brick air shaft. The bed was small, the mattress thin, a world away from the custom-made comfort of the master suite. "Mrs. Petrov," Anya had whispered, her voice hoarse from unshed tears. "How could he?" The housekeeper had simply squeezed her arm, her expression a mixture of pity and anger. "Mr. Gold, he has changed, madame. This new woman—" She trailed off, shaking her head. Isabelle Moreau arrived the following afternoon. Anya heard the commotion from her tiny room, the eager tone in Damien's voice, the musical, confident laughter of a woman, the distinct click-clack of expensive heels on their marble hallway. Curiosity, a painful, self-destructive kind, compelled Anya to peek. She opened her door a crack just enough to see. Isabelle was a vision, if one appreciated the type. Tall, statuesque, with fiery red hair cascading down her back and eyes the color of emeralds. She was draped in what looked like a brand-new Chanel suit, a large Hermès Birkin bag swinging nonchalantly from her arm. She surveyed the grand living room with an air of proprietary assessment, a queen inspecting her new domain. Damien was fawning over her, his arm possessively around her waist, beaming as if he'd just acquired the rarest of treasures. "And this, my dear Isabelle, is just the beginning," Anya heard him say. "The city is ours." Isabelle laughed, a throaty, confident sound. "Oh, Damien, you do spoil me." She kissed him. Then a long, passionate kiss right there in the hallway, without a care in the world for who might see. Anya recoiled, as if burned, shutting her door silently, her heart a leaden weight in her chest. This wasn't just an affair. This was a full-blown takeover. Damien wasn't just being unfaithful. He was reveling in it, flaunting it. The days that followed were a living hell. Anya confined herself mostly to her small room, the sounds of Isabelle's laughter and Damien's attentiveness a constant agonizing reminder of her displacement. The aroma of Isabelle's strong, musky perfume seemed to permeate the entire apartment, a scent that now made Anya feel physically ill. Isabelle made no effort to be discreet or kind. On the few occasions Anya had to venture out, to the kitchen for food or to retrieve something she'd forgotten, Isabelle would look her up and down with a smirk, her eyes glittering with triumphant malice. One morning, as Anya was making herself a simple piece of toast in the kitchen, Isabelle sauntered in wearing one of Damien's silk robes, clearly having just emerged from the master bedroom. "Oh, you're still here," Isabelle said, her voice dripping with false surprise. She opened the refrigerator, pulling out a carton of fresh orange juice. "Damien said you'd be making other arrangements soon." Anya's hand tightened on her mug. "This is my home, Isabelle." Isabelle poured herself a glass of juice, taking a slow sip. "Was your home, darling? Things change." Damien needs a partner who can keep up with him, someone vibrant, exciting, not someone bogged down. Her eyes flicked pointedly to Anya's pregnant belly. The cruelty of the remark stole Anya's breath. Being pregnant doesn't mean I'm bogged down. I'm carrying his child. Isabel shrugged. Men like Damien like the idea of children, the legacy. The actual process, the crying, the diapers, the sleepless nights, not so glamorous. He needs a woman who is focused on him. She ran a perfectly manicured finger along the collar of the silk robe. And I am very, very focused on him. The humiliation was a constant companion. Anya would hear them entertaining guests in the evenings, laughter and music spilling out from the main living areas, while she sat alone in her tiny room, the rhythmic thumping of the bass, a cruel mockery of her own racing heartbeat. She learned that Isabel had already started redecorating, consulting with designers, making changes to Anya's home, as if she'd lived there for years. She'd even heard Isabel on the phone discussing plans for her baby shower, though she wasn't pregnant. It was a calculated dig meant to further erase Anya's presence. One afternoon, desperate for some air and a brief escape, Anya decided to go for a walk in Central Park. As she was leaving, she saw a new piece of art being hung in the foyer. A bold, abstract painting that was decidedly not to her taste, but very much in line with the cold, modern aesthetic Isabel seemed to favor. Worse, it had replaced a cherished landscape painting Damien had bought for Anya on their first anniversary. Later that day, she saw Isabel wearing the Tiffany diamond necklace Damien had given Anya for their anniversary. It was clasped around Isabel's slender throat, glittering mockingly. Anya felt a surge of rage, a feeling so intense it almost choked her. She confronted Damien that evening, cornering him as he was about to enter the master bedroom, their master bedroom, now solely his and Isabel's domain. "How could you?" she demanded, her voice shaking. "That painting was special to me, and that necklace, you gave that to me." Damien looked irritated. "Anya, don't make a scene. It's just a painting. And Isabel admired the necklace, so I let her borrow it. What's the big deal? The big deal!" Anya's voice rose perilously close to a shriek. "The big deal is that you are systematically erasing me from my own life, from our marriage. You give her my gifts, you replace our memories, you flaunt her in my face, while I'm pregnant with your child and sleeping in a damn closet." Isabel appeared at the doorway, then a smug smile on her face. "Having a little tantrum, are we? Pregnancy hormones can be so unbecoming." "This has nothing to do with you," Anya snapped, turning on her. "Oh, I think it has everything to do with me, darling," Isabel purred, stepping forward and linking her arm through Damien's. "After all, I'm the one he wants now." She leaned her head on Damien's shoulder. "Isn't that right, my love?" Damien didn't look at Anya. He just nodded, his gaze fixed on Isabel. "Anya, you're being hysterical. Isabel is my guest. You will treat her with respect, or you will find your circumstances even less comfortable." The threat hung in the air. Less comfortable than the maid's room. What did that even mean? Was he going to throw her out onto the street? Defeated, heartbroken, and utterly humiliated. Anya retreated. As she walked back to her cramped quarters, she heard Isabel's triumphant laughter echo behind her. Sleep was elusive that night. The thin mattress offered no comfort, and her mind raced. How had this happened? How had the man who vowed to love and cherish her become this cold, cruel stranger? She thought of her parents, both gone now, and how they had adored Damien, believing he was the prince who would care for their daughter. She thought of her unborn child, and a new fierce determination began to smoulder amidst the ashes of her despair. She couldn't let them win. She couldn't let Isabel and Damien destroy her completely. She had to find a way to fight back, not just for herself, but for her baby. The Queen Usurper might be wearing her jewels and sleeping in her bed, but Anya knew one thing: this was far from over. She might be down, but she was not out. The maid's room might be her prison for now, but she would not let it become her tomb. Weeks bled into a miserable month. Anya developed a routine born of necessity and self-preservation. She woke early, long before Damien and Isabel stirred to use the main kitchen and prepare herself simple meals she'd eat in the solitude of her room. She timed her brief excursions for fresh air to coincide with when she knew they'd be out. The vast apartment, once a symbol of her fairy tale life, now felt like a minefield, each shared space fraught with the potential for a painful encounter. The isolation was profound. Her friends, initially sympathetic, grew distant. Damien, she suspected, had been feeding them a narrative, perhaps of her being unstable, hormonal, difficult. He was a master manipulator after all. He wouldn't want his pristine reputation tarnished. One evening, driven by a desperate need for some semblance of normalcy, Anya called her younger sister Clara, a pragmatic lawyer living in Chicago. She'd been hesitant to burden Clara, but the weight of her situation was becoming unbearable. "Anya, you sound awful. What's wrong?" Clara's concerned voice was a balm to Anya's frayed nerves. Hesitantly at first, then with a rush of pent-up emotion, Anya poured out the whole sordid story. Damien's cruelty, Isabel's presence, the humiliation of the maid's room, the stolen necklace, the fear for her future and that of her baby. There was a stunned silence on the other end of the line. Then Clara's voice, sharp with anger. "That absolute bastard! And that woman, Anya, you can't stay there. You have to leave." "Leave," Anya whispered, "and go where Clara, I have nowhere to go. All my money is tied up with Damien's, our joint accounts. He controls everything. And the prenup." She choked on the word. They'd signed one, of course. Damien's lawyers had insisted. It had seemed like a formality at the time, a detail in the grand tapestry of their love. Now it felt like a noose. Prenups can be challenged, Anya, especially under duress, or if there are hidden assets, or in cases of blatant cruelty and infidelity leading to the breakdown of the marriage, particularly with a child involved. What were the terms? Anya's mind fumbled. I don't even remember the specifics. It was all so overwhelming. Damien said it was standard just to protect Ethelred Holdings' initial assets. His father insisted on it. "Standard for whom, Anya, for him," Clara sighed. "Okay, first things first. You need a copy of that prenup. And you need a good lawyer, someone in New York who specializes in high net worth divorces, someone who won't be intimidated by Damien Gold." A seed of purpose began to sprout in Anya's mind. A lawyer, a fight. It seemed daunting, almost impossible, but it was better than passively accepting her fate. "I don't know how I'll get a copy," Anya said, her voice heavy with defeat. "Damien keeps all important documents in his study safe. I don't have the code." "We'll figure it out," Clara said firmly. "In the meantime, document everything. Dates, times, specific instances of cruelty, Isabel's behavior. Keep a journal. Take photos if you can, discreetly. Anything that can be used as evidence." The call with Clara, though sobering, ignited a spark. Anya wasn't entirely alone. Her greatest and most unexpected ally came in the form of Mrs. Petrov. the housekeeper outwardly maintaining her professional deference to Damien and the new mistress found subtle ways to support Anya. An extra blanket would appear on Anya's bed on a cold night. A small plate of freshly baked cookies, Anya's favorite, would be left outside her door. Sometimes just a shared look of understanding and sympathy was enough to bolster Anya's spirits. One afternoon, when Damien and Isabel were out for a long lunch, Isabel had loudly announced they were celebrating a new acquisition at an exclusive restaurant mentioned in the society pages of the New York Chronicle. Mrs. Petrov knocked softly on Anya's door. "Madam Anya," she said, her voice low. "May I come in?" Anya nodded, surprised. Mrs. Petrov rarely sought her out directly. The older woman entered her eyes, scanning the tiny room with a frown. "This is no place for you, child, especially not now." She gestured to Anya's prominent belly. "I know, Mrs. Petrov," Anya said sadly. "But Mr. Gold is not the man he once was." Mrs. Petrov said, her lips tightening. "This Isabel, she has a hold on him. But he is also being foolish and cruel." She paused, then seemed to come to a decision. "I overheard them talking about the prenuptial agreement." Anya's heart leaped. "What did they say?" "Miss Moreau was asking about it. She seemed very interested in how much you would get if you left." Mr. Gold laughed. He said practically nothing. "My father made sure of that. She'll be lucky to get a small settlement to keep her quiet." Anya's stomach churned. So that was it. He thought he had her completely trapped. But then Mrs. Petrov added, "But I also remember something, Madam Anya, from when you first married. Your father. God rest his soul, he was a shrewd man. He came here once before the wedding to meet with Mr. Gold and his lawyers about that agreement. He was very particular about certain clauses." Anya frowned. Her father, a successful businessman in his own right, before he passed away 2 years ago, had indeed been protective. "What clauses?" "I don't know the details, madame. I only overheard snippets. But your father was insistent. He said something about provisions for infidelity and protection for future offspring, regardless of marital status at the time of birth. He made them rewrite parts of it. Mr. Gold was annoyed, but your father wouldn't budge." Anya stared at Mrs. Petrov, a wild hope blossoming in her chest. Could it be true? Had her father from beyond the grave provided her with a shield she never knew she had? "The documents," Mrs. Petrov continued, her voice even lower. "Mr. Gold keeps them in the safe in his study. The code. I saw him enter it once when he thought no one was looking. He was distracted on the phone with her." She scribbled a sequence of numbers on a small piece of paper she pulled from her apron pocket. "It's his birthday, backwards, followed by the year Ethelred was founded." Anya's hand trembled as she took the paper. "Mrs. Petrov, I don't know how to thank you. This is—" "You fight for yourself and that baby, Madam Anya." The housekeeper said, her eyes fierce. "That man and that woman, they think they can just toss you aside like yesterday's news. Show them they are wrong." She glanced nervously towards the hallway. "I must go. They could be back any time." After Mrs. Petrov left, Anya stared at the numbers on the paper. Damien's birthday backwards, and the founding year of his company. It was a gamble. If she was caught trying to access the safe, Damien's wrath would be terrible. But the thought of her father's foresight of a potential lifeline hidden within that dreaded prenup gave her courage. She waited until she was certain Damien and Isabel were out for the evening. She heard Isabel's loud voice discussing a late reservation at Per Se a 3-Michelin-star restaurant Damien often frequented for business. The apartment fell quiet. Her heart hammered against her ribs as she crept down the silent corridor to Damien's study. The heavy oak door was unlocked. She slipped inside, her eyes adjusting to the dim light filtering in from the city. The large mahogany desk stood at the center, and behind it, built into the wall, was the sleek metallic door of the safe. With trembling fingers, she punched in the numbers Mrs. Petrov had given her. A soft click, and the heavy door swung open. There, amidst stacks of corporate documents and share certificates, was a thick vellum envelope simply marked Prenuptial Agreement, Gold Sterling. Sterling was her maiden name. Her hands shook so much she could barely grasp it. She pulled it out, her breath catching in her throat. This was it. The document that Damien believed guaranteed her insignificance, her poverty, her defeat. Clutching the envelope, she hurried back to her room, her mind a whirlwind of fear and anticipation. She had to know what it said. She had to know if her father had truly armed her for this battle. Sitting on her narrow bed, the sounds of the city, a distant hum. Anya took a deep breath and began to read. The fate of her future and her child's lay within those pages. The legalese was dense, intimidating. Anya read slowly, her finger tracing each line, a dictionary app open on her phone to decipher the complex terminology. Much of it was as Damien had likely described: protections for his pre-existing assets. The company shares the properties he owned before their marriage. A knot of despair tightened in her stomach. But then she reached Annex B, Section 3. Provisions in event of marital misconduct. Her breath hitched. Her father's doing, no doubt. It stipulated that in the event of proven infidelity by either party leading to marital breakdown, certain clauses limiting spousal support and asset division would be rendered null and void. Furthermore, it explicitly stated that any offspring of the union shall be provided for through a trust funded at a significant percentage of the at-fault party's annual income, irrespective of the custodial parent's remarriage or financial status. Tears pricked Anya's eyes. Tears of relief, of gratitude for her father's love and foresight. Damien thought he held all the cards, but he was wrong. His blatant, flaunted affair with Isabel wasn't just a moral failing. It was a contractual breach. But there was a catch. Proven infidelity. Her word against his wouldn't be enough. Damien was powerful, well-connected. He could and would deny everything, paint her as delusional. She needed concrete proof. Her sister Clara's words echoed in her mind. Document everything. Over the next few weeks, Anya became a ghost in her own home, an observer. Armed with the knowledge from the prenup and Clara's advice, she started to gather her arsenal. She used her phone, discreetly capturing photos of Isabel's belongings, strewn possessively around the master suite, when the door was carelessly left ajar. She recorded snippets of conversations, Isabel boasting to a friend on speakerphone about the lavish gifts Damien showered her with. Damien coldly dismissing Anya's concerns about her upcoming obstetrician appointments, which he still refused to attend with her. She also started paying closer attention to Damien's business dealings, or rather the parts Isabel was now involved in. Isabel, the designer, seemed to have her fingers in many of Ethelred's pies. Anya overheard them discussing offshore accounts for a special project Isabel was spearheading, something about a luxury resort development in the Caribbean. It sounded vague, and Damien, usually so meticulous, seemed to be rubber-stamping Isabel's extravagant budget requests without much scrutiny. A red flag went up in Anya's mind. Mrs. Petrov continued to be her silent, watchful ally. One day, while Damien and Isabel were out, the housekeeper accidentally left a waste bin from Damien's study outside Anya's door, muttering something about mixed up the rubbish. Inside, amongst discarded papers, Anya found crumpled receipts, exorbitant bills from high-end boutiques for women's clothing and jewelry, none of which Anya had received, and reservations for romantic dinners for two at places Damien hadn't taken her in years. One receipt from a jeweler, Valois and Couture, known for their discreet, bespoke pieces, was for a ruby pendant costing tens of thousands of dollars. Anya had certainly never seen it. It was more ammunition. Clara, meanwhile, had found her a lawyer, a sharp, tenacious woman named Sarah Chen, known for handling contentious divorces against powerful men. Their first meeting was clandestine at a small coffee shop miles from Anya's neighborhood. Anya, disguised in a simple dress, sunglasses, and a headscarf, felt like a spy in a thriller. Sarah listened intently as Anya recounted her story, her eyes sharp and assessing as she reviewed the copy of the prenup and the evidence Anya had gathered so far. "This is good, Anya," Sarah said, tapping the prenup. "Your father was a smart man. The infidelity clause is our leverage. The evidence you've collected is a strong start. But Damien Gold is a shark. He'll have a team of cutthroat lawyers. We need something more, something undeniable." "What else can I do?" Anya asked, feeling a fresh wave of anxiety. She was heavily pregnant now, her movements becoming more cumbersome, her energy levels fluctuating wildly. "Isabel," Sarah said. "She's the key. If she's as arrogant and indiscreet as you say, she might be our best source of irrefutable proof. And these offshore accounts and special projects, that's interesting. Men like Damien often get sloppy when they're infatuated. There might be financial irregularities we can exploit, something that could give us leverage beyond the infidelity." Anya thought about Isabel, her smug confidence, her blatant disregard for Anya's feelings. Perhaps Sarah was right. Isabel's arrogance could be her undoing. The opportunity presented itself a few days later. Isabel was hosting a small impromptu gathering for some of her new friends. Flashy social climbing types Anya had never seen before. Damien was away on a short, urgent business trip to Zurich. Anya, confined to her room, could hear their loud chatter and laughter. Driven by a sudden impulse and a desperate hope, Anya remembered an old baby monitor she'd packed away. Its receiver was in her room. If she could somehow place the transmitter unit in the living room, near where Isabel and her friends were. It was risky, but the potential reward was too great. Knowing Isabel and her guests were occupied with cocktails and gossip, Anya slipped out. The spare baby monitor unit was small. She crept into the main living area, her heart pounding. Isabel and her friends were on the terrace, their backs to the room. With trembling hands, Anya discreetly placed the transmitter behind a large potted plant near the open terrace doors, hoping its microphone was sensitive enough. She retreated to her room, switched on the receiver, and waited. At first, it was just inane chatter fashion, mutual acquaintances' plans for summering in the Hamptons. Anya was about to give up when she heard Isabel's voice, louder now, closer to the transmitter. "Damien is utterly besotted," Isabel was saying, her voice slurring slightly, no doubt, from the champagne. "He'd give me anything I ask for. That ridiculous resort project in St. Bart's. He's already sunk millions into it all, into an account I control. He thinks it's for Ethelred global expansion. But darling, it's my nest egg. A girl has to look out for herself, right?" One of her friends giggled. "You're a genius, Isabel." "But what about the wife, the pregnant one?" Isabel let out a dismissive laugh. "Oh, her. Damien says the prenup leaves her with practically nothing. She'll be out on her ear soon enough. He's just waiting for the right moment. Probably after the baby is born, so he doesn't look like a complete monster to the press. He's all about image, you know. But honestly, who cares? By then I'll have my hooks in, so deep he won't know which way is up. Besides, Isabel's voice dropped to a conspiratorial whisper. This St. Bart's project. It's designed to bleed Ethelred a little. Enough for me to be set up for life, even if Damien eventually comes to his senses. He signed all the transfer authorizations himself. So trusting. Anya's blood ran cold. Isabel wasn't just a mistress. She was a con artist, systematically defrauding Damien using his infatuation against him. And Damien, blinded by this woman, was potentially walking into financial ruin, or at least significant loss, all while treating Anya with such contempt. She fumbled for her phone, her hands shaking, and hit record on the voice memo app, holding it close to the baby monitor's speaker. She captured Isabel's damning monologue, her casual admission of fraud, her utter disdain for both Anya and Damien. This was it. This was more than just proof of infidelity. This was evidence of criminal activity. Isabel, in her arrogance, had handed Anya the weapon she needed. Not just to secure her own future and that of her child, but potentially to expose Isabel for the viper she truly was. The question now was how to use it. And what would Damien do when he found out the woman he'd discarded his pregnant wife for was playing him for a fool? The tangled web of deceit was far more complex than Anya had ever imagined. Armed with Isabel's recorded confession, Anya felt a surge of power she hadn't experienced in months. She immediately sent the audio file to Sarah Chen, her lawyer. Sarah's reaction was swift and decisive. "This is dynamite, Anya," Sarah said over the phone, her voice tight with excitement. "This isn't just about infidelity anymore. This is potential embezzlement fraud. Isabel Moreau is not just a home wrecker. She's a criminal. And Damien Gold is her willing or perhaps unwilling mark." "The risk with telling Damien directly," Sarah cautioned, "is that he might try to protect Isabel to save face or even accuse you of fabricating the evidence. He's proud. Being made a fool of, especially by a woman, won't sit well." They decided on a more indirect approach first. Sarah suggested hiring a discreet private investigator to dig deeper into Isabel Moreau's background and the St. Bart's project. "If she's done this before, or if the project is a complete sham, we'll have even more leverage," Sarah explained. Meanwhile, Anya had to continue playing the part of the downtrodden wife, a role that was becoming increasingly difficult as her due date approached and her righteous anger grew. Isabel, oblivious, continued her reign, becoming more audacious by the day. She started hosting lavish dinner parties using Anya's wedding china, and Crystal ordering the household staff around as if she were already Mrs. Gold. "She's a professional grifter, Anya," Sarah reported, "and Damien is her latest victim. We have enough to bury her." The question was, how would this impact Damien Anya? Despite his cruelty, felt a strange pang of, not pity exactly, but a grim understanding. He had been blinded, manipulated, just as she had been, albeit in a different way. His arrogance and pride had made him an easy target for a predator like Isabel Sophie. Damien returned from his Zurich trip, seemingly in high spirits, completely unaware of the storm brewing. He was more attentive to Isabel than ever, publicly doting on her at a charity auction for the New York City Ballet, an event Anya used to help organize. Anya saw photos in the society columns the next day. Damien with his arm around Isabel, both of them beaming. Isabel was wearing a new obscenely large sapphire necklace. The caption read, "Damien Gold and his stunning companion, Isabel Moreau, a picture of happiness." It was like a knife to Anya's heart, not because she wanted Damien back, but because of the sheer galling injustice of it all. Sarah advised patience. Let him dig his own grave a little deeper with her. The harder he falls for her, lies the more impact the truth will have. But Anya was running out of time. Her baby was due in a matter of weeks. She couldn't bear the thought of bringing her child into this toxic environment. An idea began to form in Anya's mind, a risky, dramatic plan to expose Isabel, not just to Damien, but to the world he cared so much about, his world of high finance and societal standing. Anya approached Mrs. Petrov, her staunchest ally. Mrs. Petrov, she began, I need your help for something. Unconventional. The housekeeper listened, her expression growing more resolute as Anya outlined her plan. Madam Anya, she said when Anya had finished, Mr. Gold has brought shame upon this household. That woman is a viper. It is time they both faced the consequences. I will help you. The plan was twofold. First, Sarah Chen would arrange for an anonymous tip to be delivered to Damien's chief financial officer at Ethelred, a man known for his integrity and loyalty to the company itself, rather than just to Damien. The tip would contain just enough information about the irregularities in the St. Bart's project to trigger an internal audit without revealing Anya or Sarah's involvement. This would put pressure on Damien from within his own company. The second part of the plan was far more audacious. Anya intended to confront Isabel publicly, but not in a hysterical outburst. She would do it with cold, hard facts and perhaps a bit of theatre. She also found something else tucked away in a drawer of Isabel's vanity, a small, leather-bound diary. Flipping through it, Anya saw entries detailing Isabel's contempt for Damien, her plans to fleece the old fool, and her amusement at how easily he was manipulated. It was a gold mine of Isabel's true intentions, written in her own hand. Anya took photos of the relevant diary pages, and carefully using gloves Mrs. Petrov provided, she took the ruby pendant. This was a crucial piece of her plan. She also took a pair of gaudy, cheap costume jewelry earrings from Isabel's collection. The day before the Ethelred Gala, the CFO, having received the anonymous tip, discreetly initiated an internal review of the St. Bart's project. Whispers began to circulate within Ethelred's upper echelons. Damien, when he caught wind of it, was furious. Dismissing it as corporate espionage or a misunderstanding. He was too blinded by Isabel, too invested in her vision to see the truth. The night of the gala arrived. Isabel was radiant, preening in her designer gown, dripping with diamonds. Anya noted with a grim satisfaction that the ruby pendant was not among them tonight. Damien, though slightly preoccupied by the internal rumblings at Ethelred, was still the proud escort. Anya, dressed in a simple, elegant maternity gown she'd ordered online, waited for her moment. She wouldn't be attending the gala, of course. Her stage would be much closer to home. As Damien and Isabel were about to leave for the Pierre, looking for all the world like the king and queen of Manhattan, Anya stepped out of her small room and blocked their path in the grand foyer. Going somewhere? Anya asked, her voice surprisingly calm and steady. Damien scowled. Anya, not now. We're late. Isabel smirked. Still lurking in the shadows, are we? Don't you have some knitting to do? Actually, Isabel, Anya said, meeting her gaze, I have a small gift for you, a pre-gala surprise. She held out a small, cheap gift box. Isabel looked suspicious but intrigued. A gift from you, how unexpected. She took the box and opened it. Inside lay the gaudy costume jewelry earrings Anya had taken. Isabel's face twisted in disgust. What is this trash? Oh, I'm sorry, Anya said, feigning innocence. I must have gotten them mixed up. I thought these were yours. They look so much like the other acquisitions you've made." Then Anya held up the magnificent Valois & Co. Ruby pendant, its facets catching the light from the chandelier, blazing like a drop of blood. "Perhaps you misplaced this one. I found it in your jewel box. It's exquisite. Damien has such good taste, doesn't he?" Isabel's eyes widened in shock and fury. She recognized the pendant. But before she could speak, Anya turned to Damien. "This pendant, Damien," Anya said, her voice clear and strong, "is rather expensive, isn't it? Tens of thousands, if I recall the receipt correctly. A receipt I found in your trash. A gift for Isabel, I presume. Paid for from company funds, perhaps, or from the account for the St. Bart's project." Damien stared at the pendant, then at Isabel, a flicker of doubt finally appearing in his eyes. "What are you talking about? Anya Isabel, what is this? She's lying. She's a jealous, vindictive shrew." Isabel shrieked, her composure shattering. "That's my pendant. You gave it to me." "Oh, I have no doubt he gave it to you." Anya continued, smoothly holding up her phone, which displayed a picture of Isabel's diary entry. "Just like he gave you access to company accounts for your fictitious resort. Fleece the old fool, I believe was your charming phrase for it in your diary. Sophie." The use of Isabel's real name. Sophie made her visibly flinch. Damien's head snapped toward Isabel, his face darkening. "Sophie, what diary? What is she talking about? It's all lies." "Damien, she's trying to ruin us." Isabel grabbed for the phone, but Anya moved it out of reach. "The truth has a funny way of coming out, doesn't it?" Anya said, her gaze unwavering. "The internal audit at Ethelred regarding your St. Bart's paradise. That's just the beginning. I wonder what the shareholders will think when they find out where their investment money has really been going. Or what the authorities will think of your little nest egg accounts, Sophie." The scene Anya left behind in the foyer devolved into chaos. Damien, his face a thundercloud, turned on Isabel, or Sophie as the name now echoed venomously in his mind. "Sophie, diary, St. Bart's. What the hell is going on?" He roared, his voice, usually so controlled now, raw with fury and a dawning, sickening realization. Isabel, stripped of her composure, her carefully constructed facade crumbling, tried to bluster her way through. "She's mad. Damien jealous. She's making it all up to drive us apart. That diary, that pendant. She planted them. She faked it." But Anya's calm, factual delivery, the mention of the internal audit, which Damien knew was very real and causing him immense headaches, and the sheer specificity of the accusations resonated with a dreadful clarity. He remembered Isabel's insistence on controlling the St. Bart's financials, her increasingly lavish spending, her casual dismissal of his questions with a seductive smile and a wave of her hand. He'd been a fool, a blind, arrogant fool. "The audit isn't fake, Isabel," he said, his voice dangerously low. "My CFO briefed me this morning. Millions are unaccounted for, routed through untraceable shell corporations, linked to that damned resort of yours. It's a misunderstanding, a complex investment strategy," she stammered, backing away as he advanced on her. "Investment strategy." He laughed, a harsh, bitter sound. "Fleece the old fool," she said, "you wrote. Does that sound like an investment strategy to you?" His eyes narrowed. "The gala. We are not going. You are not going anywhere until I get to the bottom of this." He grabbed his phone, barking orders at his head of security to come to the penthouse immediately, to seal off Isabel's access to her belongings, to contact his personal lawyers. Isabel shrieked, protesting her innocence, but the conviction in her voice was gone, replaced by a rising panic. While Damien was on the phone, his back turned. Isabel saw her chance. Her Birkin bag containing her passport and a significant amount of emergency cash she always kept handy. A habit from her previous escapades lay on a nearby console table. She lunged for it. "Oh, no, you don't," Damien bellowed, seeing her movement. He dropped his phone and grabbed her arm. They struggled, a grotesque tableau of luxury and desperation. Her expensive gown ripped, diamonds scattered from a broken bracelet. It was at that precise, chaotic moment that Anya felt the first sharp, undeniable pain low in her abdomen. She gasped, clutching her belly. Another pain followed, stronger this time. The baby, it was coming. Ignoring the raging battle in the foyer, Anya fumbled for her phone. Her hands shaking for an entirely different reason now. She called Clara. "Clara," she panted, "it's time. The baby, it's coming. And Damien and Isabel, they're fighting." "Anya, stay calm. I'll call you an ambulance right now, and I'll call Sarah. Just breathe." "Are you safe?" "I think so. In my room," Anya managed, as another contraction seized her more intense than the last. Meanwhile, Damien's security team arrived, 2 burly men in dark suits. They quickly separated the struggling pair, restraining a hysterical Isabel. "Don't let her leave," Damien ordered. "Confiscate her phone, her passport. Everything." Just then, Mrs. Petrov, who had been hovering anxiously in the background, rushed towards Damien. "Mr. Gold." "Sir." "It's Madame Anya. The baby is coming." Damien, his face still contorted with rage at Isabel's betrayal, froze. The baby. His child. In the midst of this utter disaster, this personal and financial nightmare, Isabel had orchestrated a different, more profound reality struck him. He looked towards Anya's small room at the end of the hall, then back at the spitting, cursing Isabel, now effectively his prisoner. The paramedics, alerted by Clara, were already on their way, their sirens faintly audible in the distance. Sarah Chen, also alerted by Clara, was moving fast. Knowing Damien would be distracted and vulnerable, she contacted the lead detective at the NYPD's Financial Crimes Unit, to whom Mr. Davies had already discreetly passed on his preliminary findings about Sophie Dubois, Isabel Moreau, and the Ethelred fraud. The detective, smelling a high-profile case, was very interested. Anya, aided by a surprisingly calm Mrs. Petrov, was trying to breathe through the increasingly strong contractions. The maid's room felt smaller, hotter, more oppressive than ever. The wail of sirens grew louder, stopping outside their building. Moments later, paramedics were being escorted up by building security, their arrival coinciding with 2 grim-faced detectives who flashed their badges at Damien's bewildered security team. "Damien Gold," one detective asked, "we have some questions for you regarding Ethelred Holdings and a Ms. Isabel Moreau, also known as Sophie Dubois." He then nodded to his partner, who approached Isabel. "Ms. Moreau or Dubois, you're under arrest for suspicion of grand larceny and fraud." Isabel let out a strangled scream as handcuffs were snapped onto her wrists, her luxurious gala gown now a symbol of her downfall. She shot a look of pure venom at Damien. "You'll pay for this, both of you," she hissed as she was led away. Her threats lost in the arrival of the paramedics, who were now heading for Anya's room. Damien stood amidst the wreckage of his life, his mistress arrested, his company under investigation, his reputation in tatters. He felt a strange numbness. The fury was still there, simmering beneath the surface, but it was now overlaid with a dawning sense of shame and a bewildering cocktail of other emotions he couldn't yet name. He saw the paramedics carefully helping Anya, pale and clearly in pain, onto a gurney. Their eyes met for a fleeting second. There was no triumph in Anya's gaze, no, "I told you so." Just pain, exhaustion, and a profound weariness. He made a move to follow them, but Sarah Chen, materializing as if from nowhere, stepped into his path. Clara was with her, her expression fierce and protective as she hurried to Anya's side. "Mr. Gold," Sarah said, her voice crisp and businesslike. "I represent Anya. I think it's best if you remain here and cooperate with the detectives. Anya has enough to deal with right now." Damien looked from Sarah to the retreating gurney, carrying his pregnant wife, to the detectives waiting expectantly. The grand foyer, which hours ago was to be the launch pad for a glittering evening, now felt like a crime scene, the air thick with betrayal and shattered illusions. As Anya was wheeled out, she heard Isabel's parting shriek from the elevator. Damien knew about the money he was in on it too. Anya's eyes widened slightly. Was it a desperate lie from a cornered criminal? Or was there another, even darker layer to Damien's deceit? The thought sent a fresh chill through her, even as another contraction gripped her body. The reckoning had been swift, brutal, and public. At least within the confines of their penthouse. The wider world, the shareholders, the media would soon know. For Damien Gold, the fall from grace was just beginning. For Anya, a new uncertain chapter was starting, heralded by the imminent arrival of her child, a tiny beacon of hope in the overwhelming darkness. And so Anya's harrowing journey through betrayal and despair found its dawn. From the suffocating confines of a maid's room, a symbol of her husband's callous disregard, she rose not as a victim, but as a warrior fighting for her dignity and the future of her child. The master bedroom, once a forbidden zone lorded over by a deceitful mistress, now stands empty, a testament to shattered illusions and the ultimate triumph of truth. Anya learned that true wealth isn't measured in carats or mansions, but in courage, resilience, and the unbreakable bond of love. Her story is a powerful reminder that even in the darkest of times, the strength within us can illuminate the path to a new beginning. What did you think of Anya's incredible fight for justice? Could you have been as strong? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. If this story of resilience and reckoning moved you, please give this video a thumbs up. Share it with someone who needs to hear that strength can be found in the most trying circumstances. And don't forget to subscribe for more compelling stories that will keep you on the edge of your seat. Until next time, remember that even the most gilded cages cannot imprison a spirit determined to be free.